ready to dive into the mysteries of the mind.
Today we're tackling consciousness.
And not just as a passive state of awareness.
We're going deep with Antonio Damasio's work,
Exploring how consciousness is an active force.
shaping our thoughts and even our rebellious streaks.
What's fascinating about Damasio's approach
Is that he treats consciousness not merely as a byproduct of our brains,
but as a powerful tool,
honed by evolution.
which begs the question,
Why did consciousness evolve in the first place?
wouldn't we be just fine reacting to the world like a sunflower?
Just turning towards the light?
You'd think so?
But even simple organisms benefit from a rudimentary form of consciousness.
It's all about the power of internal representations.
Imagine instead of just reacting to your immediate surroundings,
You have a mental map guiding your actions.
helping you anticipate and plan.
That's consciousness at work.
So instead of just reacting to that delicious smell from the bakery.
Consciousness lets us consider. Maybe I should wait until after dinner.
Precisely.
Damasio highlights how consciousness lets us play out scenarios in our minds.
Connect them to our emotions.
And ultimately,
Make choices that benefit our survival and well-being.
that feeling of, this will be good for me, or this might lead to danger.
That's the magic of consciousness linking internal representations to your sense of self.
Okay.
Let's unpack that a bit.
So
It's not just about having a thought,
It's about how that thought makes us feel.
and how that feeling then guides our decisions.
Exactly.
It's like this.
Imagine you're considering a new job offer.
Your conscious mind can analyze the pros and
The
cons,
salary.
the commute,
But it's that gut feeling
or that sense of excitement or trepidation.
that ultimately sways your decision.
It's in a way, consciousness is like having an internal guidance system.
Constantly working to optimize our choices and steer us towards what's best for us.
In a sense,
Yes.
it allows us to move beyond simple reflexes and instincts.
Towards more complex behaviors.
Or the text you shared.
Damasio gives some compelling examples of how consciousness enables planning
Delayed gratification,
and navigating the intricate dance of social interactions.
which
Be honest.
can sometimes feel like a minefield.
Absolutely.
Think about the last time you had to navigate a tricky social situation.
Maybe a disagreement with a coworker or a delicate conversation with a family member.
Our consciousness allows us to strategize.
Consider different perspectives.
And hopefully,
Emerge from those interactions unscathed.
it's like our consciousness is the ultimate diplomat.
Trying to keep the peace, both internally and externally.
That's a great way to put it.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
As consciousness evolved,
It paved the way for things like language
memory,
and our ability to reflect on our own existence.
it's the foundation upon which we've built our understanding of the human condition.
Which
We all know.
It'd be both exhilarating and terrifying.
So,
You're saying our capacity for self-awareness,
our ability to ponder life's big questions,
to create art,
to build society,
it all stems back to this evolutionary advantage of consciousness.
it's all connected.
But here's where Damasio throws us a curveball
He delves into the realm of the unconscious.
and argues that it's not at all what we commonly assume.
Sometimes he suggests,
Not consciously deliberating on a decision actually leads to better outcomes.
wait,
Are you saying overthinking is a bad thing?
tell that to my brain at 3 a.m.
There's a time and a place for everything.
But Damasio cites some compelling research to support this idea.
He discusses a study by Abt Dijksterhuis.
Oh, yes.
I remember this from the text.
The one where people had to choose between different consumer products.
Exactly.
And what they found was fascinating.
The participants who were distracted and unable to consciously analyze their choices actually ended up making better decisions.
Especially when it came to the more complex products.
So it's not just about our conscious deliberations.
There are powerful subconscious processes at play.
Influencing our choices in ways we don't fully grasp.
It's like having a secret advisor in our minds.
Drawing on a vast reservoir of experiences and memories to guide us.
That's a great way to think about it.
And it challenges our traditional understanding of decision-making.
It suggests that sometimes
Stepping back from our conscious analysis
and allowing our unconscious mind to do its thing,
can actually lead to more satisfying outcomes.
that actually explains a lot.
Have you ever had that gut feeling that turned out to be right?
Even when you couldn't logically explain it?
Perhaps that's our brain's autopilot.
Steering us in the right direction based on information we're not even aware of processing?
It very well could be.
Yeah.
Before you think your unconscious mind is some mystical oracle.
Damasio is clear that it's not driven by magic.
but shaped by our past experiences
Our ingrained emotions.
and learned behaviors.
Yes.
It's not just random.
It's based on something tangible.
Absolutely.
Those gut feelings aren't always reliable,
Because they're informed by our past.
which might not always align with the present moment.
That's where conscious reflection comes in.
It's about acknowledging those gut feelings,
But also taking the time to examine their origins,
to check in with our logic and reason,
especially when making significant decisions,
fact-checking our intuition.
particularly when the stakes are high.
Makes sense.
It's like having a brilliant but sometimes impulsive friend.
You value their input, but recognize the need for a healthy dose of skepticism and independent verification.
Exactly.
We're not just slaves to our subconscious.
We have the power to reflect,
To learn,
to challenge our assumptions,
and ultimately
to evolve our thinking.
it's like we have this incredible capacity for growth and change,
But we have to actively participate in the process.
to cultivate both our conscious and unconscious minds.
Precisely.
And speaking of influences on our decisions,
Damasio introduces another intriguing concept,
the genomic unconscious.
the genomic unconscious.
That sounds intriguing.
Could you elaborate on how these inherited predispositions might influence our behavior in ways we don't consciously realize?
It's the idea that woven into our very DNA are certain biases and drives,
Passed down through generations.
subtly shaping our choices without us even realizing it.
So some of our preferences,
Our inclinations,
they're not just products of our upbringing or personal experiences.
but echoes of our ancestral past.
Exactly.
Think about our innate preference for sweet or fatty foods.
From an evolutionary standpoint.
These were valuable sources of energy in times of scarcity.
Or consider the complexities of human mating behaviors,
There are undoubtedly biological factors at play.
influencing our attractions and driving us to seek out certain traits in a partner.
It's fascinating to think that these primal instincts
These whispers from our evolutionary history,
still hold sway over our behaviors.
even in our modern world.
It is.
And what's even more fascinating is how these themes emerge in art and literature.
Transcending time and culture.
Wait,
Really?
Give me an example.
Think about the recurring theme of jealousy in literature.
From Shakespeare's Othello
Driven mad by suspicion,
to the countless contemporary novels exploring the complexities of love
betrayal.
and possessiveness.
These aren't just literary inventions.
They tap into deep-seated,
Primal drives that resonate with us on a visceral level.
reminding us of the enduring power of our genetic heritage,
It's like our DNA is a playwright,
setting the stage for human drama,
providing the raw materials for our stories
our conflicts.
and our triumphs.
It's both humbling and awe-inspiring.
It is.
But here's the paradox.
Even as we acknowledge these ingrained biases,
These echoes of our evolutionary past,
we also experience this profound sense of free will,
we feel like we're in control.
consciously making decisions that shape our lives.
So how often is that truly the case?
Okay.
Now you're really making me think.
Are you saying all those times I agonized over a decision,
Weighed the pros and cons.
meticulously created my pro and con lists,
Maybe it was all an illusion.
a carefully crafted narrative woven by my own mind?
Damasio suggests that the feeling of conscious will might be more about interpretation than initiation.
It's like a brain.
After registering an action or impulse,
Stamps it with an I did that label.
creating a sense of authorship, even if the true origins of that action lie beneath the surface of our awareness.
So,
Our conscious mind is taking credit for the unconscious mind's work,
like a skilled publicist,
shaping the narrative to maintain our sense of self-importance.
in a way.
Yes.
And it makes sense.
For-
Who wants to feel like a passenger in their own lives?
It's much more empowering to believe we're calling the shots.
Exactly.
But understanding this interplay between the conscious and unconscious isn't just about individual psychology.
It has profound implications for how we understand society as a whole.
This is where Damasio introduces the concept of sociocultural homeostasis.
Okay.
Break that down for me.
What's sociocultural homeostasis all about?
Just as our bodies strive for a state of equilibrium,
A balance of internal systems to maintain health and well-being.
Damasio argues that societies do the same.
We create cultural systems,
Laws,
moral codes,
social norms,
even art
to address imbalances,
to regulate behavior,
and ultimately,
to strive for a state of collective well-being.
so our cultural creations are like a reflection of our shared desire for order,
For stability.
for a sense of shared purpose and belonging.
Precisely.
And art
in particular.
might have played a vital role in achieving this sociocultural homeostasis.
especially in early human societies.
It's fascinating to consider how art
In its various forms,
can foster a sense of connection and belonging,
think about the power of music to evoke shared emotions.
to create a sense of unity among a group of strangers at a concert,
Or consider how stories
passed down through generations,
transmit cultural values
provide moral guidance.
and reinforce a sense of shared identity.
It's like art
Provides a shared language,
for our collective unconscious.
allowing us to tap into universal emotions,
Yeah, no, no.
aspirations.
Look nicely.
And while art is rooted in our biology,
It also has this remarkable capacity to elevate us
to help us make sense of the world around us.
and to connect with something larger than ourselves.
It's like Damasio is saying,
Consciousness is this incredible gift.
but it's not just about thinking pretty thoughts.
It's about using that awareness
that ability to reflect and imagine.
to shape our lives and the world around us.
And that brings us to perhaps the most profound point Damasio makes.
The ability to imagine the future,
It's consciousness's greatest gift,
built upon the foundation of memory
emotion.
and our sense of self.
So,
If our past shapes our present,
and our present shapes our future,
that puts a lot of responsibility on us
doesn't it?
to be mindful of the choices we're making.
The stories we're telling ourselves and the world.
It does.
And that's the challenge Damasio leaves us with.
If consciousness allows us to envision the future,
What kind of future are we creating with our thoughts and actions today?
it's almost like a call to action,
Right.
to be more conscious,
More deliberate.
more intentional in how we're living our lives.
Absolutely.
Because these choices we're making,
They ripple outward.
they impact not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us and the world we'll leave behind for future generations.
It's a lot to ponder.
But that's the beauty of a good deep dive.
Isn't it?
You come away with more questions than answers.
But with a renewed sense of wonder,
And perhaps,
even a little bit of hope.
I think Damasio would agree,
Consciousness
with all its complexities and contradictions.
is what makes us human.
And it's up to us to make the most of this extraordinary gift.
Beautifully said.
And on that note,
We'll surface for now.
but keep those brains bubbling with all these fascinating insights. We'll get you on the next deep dive.